In this short video, you're going to learn how to draw your first graph in SigmaPlot, select a type of analysis and run it. So in this study, suppose you measured how quickly 8 male mice and 7 female mice could grasp and eat a sugar pellet, and this response was measured in seconds. Each mouse was assessed only once. So if we move to SigmaPlot, here's how the data might be arranged. So for example, this would be called indexed data. So we've got a number of male and female mice and their response time was measured in seconds. Another way to represent this would be to arrange them by gender as two separate columns, male and female. So the data here would be called raw and the data here would be called indexed. Here's the data summary. So for example, the first row here shows that there would be 8 male mice and 7 female mice, and those would be the means and the standard deviations. So we just got the data arranged in 3 different ways. So if we go back to the worksheet, write down your answers to the following questions. What factor being studied might partially predict response time? How many levels does it have? Were the subjects repeatedly measured? Yes or no? Then consult your SigmaPlot Advisor Wizard flowchart and decide what 2 tests might be used to analyze this data. So stop the video now, write down your answers, and then recommence the video. So now I'll switch back to SigmaPlot and we'll see what analysis to use. So if you click here on the Analysis tab and then the Advisor Wizard, this window pops up and it asks you what do you need to do. And you should remember that we want to compare groups or treatments for significant differences. So you click Radio button 2 and then Next. Next it asks, how are the data measured? And in this case, data were measured as seconds, response time. So these are by numeric values. They're not by order or rank. So these don't represent poor, fair, good or quick, medium, slow. They're not proportions either. These are response times in seconds. So we click Radio button 1 by numeric values and click Next. Did you apply more than one treatment per subject? Well, no, each mouse only got measured once. So the answer is no. How many groups or treatments are there? Well, in this case, we've got one factor with 2 levels. And if you look at the handout we've given you a little extra information. And so in this case, what you select is one factor with 2 levels, which corresponds to the Radio button 2. There are 2 groups or treatments, but a single predictor or factor, which is gender. And SigmaPlot suggests that you use the t-test. Now it might have suggested that you should use the Mann-Whitney test, and in a later experiment we'll find out why that is. So next we're going to run the t-test. So if you click Run, it now asks you to enter your data and tell the SigmaPlot how the data is arranged. So if you wish to analyze the data from this format, you could select raw, but in general we're going to use this arrangement here because it's more flexible, as you'll see in later classes. So we tell it that it's arranged as indexed data. Click Next and it asks you where's the group located. Well, it's obvious to us, but you need to tell SigmaPlot that it's in column 6, gender. And then you need to tell it, well, the data is arranged in column 7. May seem obvious to us, but we just need to tell SigmaPlot. And then you click Finish. And these are your results, which pops up in a tab here and also to the left. So these are your summaries, as we've seen already, with the numbers per group, the mean, the standard deviation, the standard error. And the key result that you want here is this two-tailed p-value, which is 0.0075. And what you would do is you'd write that as p equals 0.008. The difference in the mean values of the 2 groups is greater than would be expected by chance, so you conclude there's a statistically significant difference between the groups. There's also a little extra information here which we'll come back to in a later class about normality and equal variance. So if you'd like to plot this data, what you can do now is you go up to the graph page, Create Graph, and you select Bar, which is appropriate for this kind of data. If you hover over these, you get these little pop-ups, and what you need to select is vertical bar, error bars. You click this, and this other window pops up, and then you want to select symbol values are arranged by category, comma, mean. Don't worry about the others too much for now. Now for this analysis, we're going to present the means with a standard deviation above and below the mean. So we click Next, and then it asks what the data format is. And we're going to select category Y. The data for the categories is located in this column. Just make sure that you select that, and then category 6, column 6. And then the data for Y are arranged in this column here. It's just as we did during the analysis. You click OK. Now what you can see is it's drawn a graph which is fairly boring, and what you could do now is you could make this much more beautiful by changing the title and by changing the colors. And you just double click. For example, here if you wanted to color this green, that would be the pattern in the edge, and the fill color could be green as well.